So I'm from the other technology company, I guess. But I know nothing about technology. I'm a designer. And I belong to... Let's see if this works as well. Is it right or left? Yes. I belong to a small group at Ericsson Research that consists of designers and game developers and psychologists and teachers and a very diverse bunch of people. What we kind of try to do is to make these rather abstract visions of future technology into more concrete examples or concept designs or kind of fiction products and services. So this presentation was going to be about the Internet of Things, a term which I honestly hate, but because it's kind of absurd. I found this illustration which kind of sums it up. It's about connecting things to the internet and then perhaps remote controlling them somehow. Check question. How many in this room have heard the term Internet of Things before? That's good. More than 2. I'm not going to try to explain what it is because people disagree a lot. But in a sense, it's kind of used as a bucket term for everything relating to the mix of physical objects, digital connection, and networks, and clouds, and big data, and well, it's a soup basically. But what I can see is that it is happening. Many people say that, or tech people say that this is the year of the Internet of Things. They said that last year as well, and the year before. But apparently it's more people this year than ever before. But our numbers, Ericsson have a lot of numbers about the usage of networks. And what we can see is a typical hockey stick development. Already in 2010, the number of people connected to the internet or people with internet access or subscriptions were outnumbered by internet connected things like cars and electricity meters and traffic control systems and well everything which is not humans. So that says something, and since then it's just increasing. But I'm not here to talk about the Internet of Things, I think, or I was, but I'm much more interested in what the things do, because I think the Internet of Things is also about the technology. I'm more interested in the things part. So as you can see, I'm desperately trying to make this about books as well. This was from a workshop we did about conductive products and try to emphasize with what they do. And it is kind of interesting to imagine this new future from the things perspective, I think. So I'm going to show you some, instead of talking all the time, I'm going to show you some examples of what we and some other people have done to concretize what it might be about. We've been talking about Conductive Ink. This is just to illustrate what happens when you connect something to another thing, because then the thing that you connect you can open up endless opportunities and possibilities relating to interaction, to content, to making it kind of relate to something else. It doesn't need to be like interaction directly like this, and the cable is obviously horrible. I see that as metaphorical as the connection. But it says something about that the object suddenly becomes in a relation to something else directly, more explicit. Another example, which goes one step further, is a project that we did, it has to be like 5-6 years ago now, where we worked with video on demand and how to enhance video or film movies with metadata, which we also talked about today. So what we did here, we did a prototype application where we tagged a movie catalog, all the movies, with location data for all the scenes in those movies. And what that meant was that we could then use the data as some kind of a hub to different other interactions with the movies. So I'm just going to show you now. So we have a movie, we pause the movie, and we can find the location for this particular scene where it is actually filmed on the map. And we can zoom down and get a street view. So you basically just hook that up to Google Maps. So this is kind of a sidetrack from the movie, obviously, but you could also use that data to connect to other movies. So we could zap and browse through every other movie that also have a scene filmed at this particular location, which essentially becomes a time machine because you can go back in time. So just to illustrate the rather abstract notion of being able to expand something via the data so that the data itself becomes a hub to go across different horizontals or different movies in this case. A disclaimer, I don't know at all how this relates to books. But hopefully you know. It is a little bit like Evan from Atavis talked about enhancing stuff with data, but this is just in a slightly different way. Another product, or not a product, it's a project that we did, which was intended to be some kind of an explanation model, or as a pedagogical tool for making the networkness legible to people. Because when we went out and talked about, well, everything is going to be interconnected and blah, 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 and it will be so good, nobody understood not anything, basically. So we had to do something which showed what we meant. Because when we explained to people, they saw like the first book with the cable. It was a one-to-one connection. This thing connected to the Mac. You have a printer connected to the PC or whatever. But the kind of full many interconnectivity concept was far too abstract for many people. So we created basically a Facebook for things, and we built this. And this is then connected things and their data connected together in a platform. And as an interaction model, we basically use human language. So we talk to the things. What would the things say? Is this readable? So you see, first I'm talking to the car. That's interaction within one silo. And then the police comes in. That's another silo. So it's a way to also explain the power of things interacting horizontally with each other in a kind of unstructured way. This is a more complex example where my thermostat gets a heads up that the weather is going to be cold and it can increase the temperature a little. traffic will be heavy because of slippery and etc. Too quick. Other more kind of logistical examples. My pill bottle could be connected to my calendar and to my doctor and to the pharmacist, perhaps. I don't know. But as an explanatory model for what this could be about. Not that we think we will build this or launch it. Facebook probably will. But it's more of a way to illustrate something, a point of interconnectivity. Another example, kind of slightly similar, is from a company called Berg, which we have collaborated with. This is not from our work, it's their work together with Google Creative Labs. But they also investigate this theme of augmented reality combined with all the interconnected data and stuff. And what they did in this project was that they basically skipped the goggle thing, or the holding up the iPad and look silly thing. And they basically made a projector with eyes that could identify things and then project stuff onto them instead of having the silly goggles. And what that does is that it can actually enhance the real world rather than having some kind of introvert world for one person. It could actually be used on dumb things rather than actually connected smart things. And I think this is a really intriguing way to explore some of these possible futures. Since this is possible to do now, and I've done it, it will be done and it will be cheaper and easier. So that's a nice example, I think. I have one more. I know you're starving and want to go to lunch. But we talked about data and connectivity and things, and this is algorithms. This is not, well, this is kind of a book of one, but it's also a book for an audience of one. So the principle behind this little flipboard prototype that we made, this is us, by the way, we have from this social web of things, the Facebook thing, we had a platform where we gathered a lot of data from things. That data we can then ingest into an algorithmic journalist bot thing, which works. It actually has kind of read. It has read a lot of news articles and kind of found a way to replicate the pattern or the templates in those, so it can generate readable text in article format directly from data input from things. So, and that results in like the book you just saw, this one. But we could also take that one step further by ingesting that output text into one of those web avatar animated services. You know, in Försäkringskassan have this. Ask a question to Anna, and she will say something absolutely not related. But we kind of put that text into a slightly more sophisticated one, which has like animations and lip sync and text to speech, and then we took that again and ingested into a kind of TV studio, news studio video template that we made. And I'm showing this for the first time today. So, and it's a very rough cut kind of thing, but this is what it might look like, and it might be scary and confusing and not at all really usable. But it gives, again, some kind of inspiration to what is possible today with these kinds of technological environments. Yeah, I'm just going to roll that. See if it's any any sound here.
Hello, and welcome to today's Social Web of Things news, automatically generated news updates from Connected Things. First, some breaking news. A few hours ago, a distress message from your phone was received. It seems like the phone and its earphones have been left behind at Starbucks on 25 Grand Avenue, where they are now awaiting to be rescued. It has been confirmed that the phone is in deep sleep mode, and it sends a radio ping to the cafe's picocell every 15 minutes in order to save power. The phone is understood to have gotten mild to moderate screen injuries. The earphones are not injured. FedEx has offered to arrange a rescue operation, and say they can bring the items to your current location within an hour, for £39. Starbucks ensures that the stranded products are in safe custody and no immediate action is necessary, so you could also pick them up yourself tomorrow morning. Starbucks is open from 7 a.m. Your inkjet printer, Canon Pixma, raised concerns over the serious decline in workload. The Pixma, which prints images and text from nearly 50 local apps and devices, reports that photo printing has fallen by 69% during 2012. The forecast for 2013 continue to be challenging for the printer, with jobs from the laptops being particularly depressed. If this trend continues, the printer will soon be obsolete. Canon printers will soon announce a package of measures aimed at rescuing the printers. This will include a firmware upgrade for the Pixma, enabling revamped functions and access to improved online services. The Krups coffee maker, a member of the Krups Traditional Kitchen Appliances Group, has died at the age of 12. The coffee maker, originally from Germany, has had problems heating water since September, making only occasional half cups of lukewarm water until its retirement in October. Your municipality's Waste Management Council informs on their web page that they offer a disassembly and recycle service for electrical and electronic equipment. Nespresso Limited sends their condolences, and in a statement, Krups Limited said, the coffee maker's memory will be with Krups always. Price Runner informs that they currently know of 34 suitable successor products with similar specifications as the late Krups, costing from £119 to £499.
And
now
so
over
on.
to today.
You get the point. So, I mean, just thinking in the background here, you can actually decompose all these news reports into the data where they came from, also relate them to hidden service offerings in there from third parties that want to help in some way. Even the illustration images here are then retrieved from Flickr's APIs based on the keywords in the articles. So it's kind of a way to illustrate how a fully automated news service for one person with a very limited interest field could be looking like. So to sum up, just my point, if it's anything to learn from this for you, I think that my main point is that what we see is that to remain in a silo will not be very good in the future. We are now having a phase of connected things, which basically are a thing with an app. Apple even have a kind of section on their web store which is called app-enabled products, and that's sort of where today's Internet of Things is, on the consumer side at least. But it will not stop there. It will kind of explode and go sideways and interconnect with other stuff as well. So the products will go from being app-enabled to what we could compare to socially adapted, perhaps, metaphorically, and from connected to interrelated. That will give us a world of fuzzy objects, which is kind of composites between the physical materials that are built of and all the immaterial networkedness and data stuff, which they're also relying on. This will change people's experience of products and services and artifacts in general. And that will again means that the expectations will change. So the same way that companies today are expected to have a web page, or people are expected to have some kind of social profile, or we expect to find music on Spotify, product will increasingly be expected to have some kind of interrelations with other ecosystems. So if I was to give any kind of message to you guys, I think it will be that, and I think Frank Rose said something important: what is a book? That's a question here as well, and even possibly what is an artifact in this future. This will mean that we will need some new competencies, I would think. Competencies that will be relating to how to produce and compose physical, digital ecosystems for the products that we make.